What's up, everyone? The big mid-league Path of Exile 2 patch is now out. So this is the 0.2.1 patch, and with it, we have a full set of patch notes. So this is the first mid-league patch they've made. So they've done lots of, A patch, B patch, C patch, which added small things and tweaked a few things. This is the first one where they're saying it's going to like shape up the game and shape up the meta. So there's, tons of new socketable items, runes, talismans, soul cores. There's 9 new uniques. There's some, balance changes to current uniques and current things in the game, and then some changes to some of the end game events. So we'll go through these. They're pretty interesting stuff, and then we'll go in game and we'll actually look at these new socketables. We'll look at the new uniques. So let's get into it. Okay, so first we got lots of new socketables, 22 new runes, 7 talismans, and 15 soul cores. Likely, the talismans will drop from the Asmiri spirits like the rest of them. The soul cores will come from the Trial of Chaos. The runes, it's unclear. We already get runes just dropping from random mobs, but we also have unique maps which drop these as well, which, certain runes come from there. So I'm guessing they're just going to drop from mobs unless they say otherwise, but we can still go and look at all of these in game because they'll be in the exchange. So then we have significant increase in number of mythic unique items that drop. So when they talk about mythic uniques, they previously talked about, chase items. So chase uniques. So you have like the, you have uniques that are good for leveling, uniques that fit certain niche builds, but then you have like the chase item, the really good thing that can go in almost any build, like the Astra Mentis, the really big chase item. You get that, it's good in most builds. You get the ingenuity from the last season. You get that. Your rings are just juice. Things like that are like good to chase, and they are pretty much going to boost everything. And they want more of that. They want us to have that big, dopamine of the really good item dropping more often. Change unique items so that no longer considered items class. This make unique rings and amulets significantly more common. Great. Reduce the number of common uniques that drop as rarity on areas. Increase allowing more better uniques to drop instead. Huge. Because like when you're running like a tier 16 map, you're running a tier 16 or a tier 15 fully juiced out map, and something drops a unique, and it's like a low level leveling kind of straight garbage item. It doesn't feel good, so that's good. The bonus, the number of uniques that you got while playing in a party was significantly higher than we intended, and it's been lowered. The other changes to unique rarity, you will still be getting a significant buff to the number of rare and mythic uniques you're finding, but the overall number of uniques in party play will be lower. I mean, that's fine. Fix significant advantage that party play had over solo play for wealth acquisition. I mean, I don't fully agree with that. I don't think that's the main issue. I think if you don't know, playing in parties is broken. If you play in a party, I'm not going to get into it here, but there are ways to absolutely just ridiculously extend how much you can make by playing in a party. There are certain ways where players are just making more than a single player can make in a day in a couple of hours. So that doesn't address much, I don't think, but still a good change, kinda. Item modifier tier numbering has been reversed so that smaller numbers represent stronger modifiers, with 1 being the best available modifier of that type. If you're not sure what that means, this is probably the best thing on this whole list. So before, if you have like if you have an item and it has tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tier 8 might be the best roll. Tier 8 might be the best roll on the item, and if you get it, it's worth loads. It's like the best in slot. But then you might have like a bow where a tier 12 roll is the best item. And if you get a tier 8 on that roll, it might not be very good in reality. And you don't know what the highest something can roll without looking it up. So it kind of like gatekeeps how good you are at looking at your items to know what's the best item. This changes that. If you see tier 1, it's Abyss roll. If you see like, +5 to minion levels and it's just like tier 1, that's the best you can get. Save it, sell it. Don't just throw it away. I know lots of players are probably losing out because they're, trying to sell something that isn't as good as they think, or they're throwing stuff away that's, secretly really good and they just don't know it. So this is huge for like just saving time, really. Adjusted the appearance of all omens, the same number of omens appear, but which omens they are have been adjusted heavily to have the rare and more powerful omens appear more frequently. The rarest one should appear 6 times more frequently in the ritual tribute window, as an example. I mean, that's good. Right now, if you want to like whittle your items and like do actual crafting, you need to be rich. So that's a good change, I think. Added a refund all passage in the skill tree. Good. Increase the chance of corrupting a monster trapped in an essence in upgrade essence to greater and greater to corrupted. Yeah, I've never seen a corrupted essence, and I've corrupted every single one since playing Dawn of the Hunt. So good. Improve passive skill tree functionality on mouse and keyboard. After typing, you can press enter to have the skill move around the tree to show you nodes which match. I guess that means if you type in like mana and then just keep pressing enter, it will jump you through all the mana nodes. That sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty interesting. Okay, monster balance. Chaos Volatiles has its spawn frequency halved, damage lowered. Volatile plants, you were dealing double their intended damage. Okay, lots of nerfs to volatile plants, and you know, I think this was a problem. This was definitely overtuned. Rat tornadoes, Forsaken miners, drove. I don't remember these being significantly that much of an issue. But the volatile plants and the ritual stuff was definitely a problem. Nobody wants to be one shot. Nobody wants to have a really juiced out build, you know, trying to level up through like the 90s and you're just getting one shot by some dumb thing. This is good. This is a good thing. One shots aren't fun, especially things like this when you're in a trapped little, you know, circle of a ritual. Very, very good. Endgame. Increase the variety of endgame maps. Good. Very, very good. Some maps like Hidden Grotto spawned way more frequently. Yep. Each map type should spawn approximately as frequently as any other. Good, good, good. Lessen the restriction on which packs of monsters could appear in different Atlas biomes. Significantly increase the variety of monsters appearing in endgame maps. It's pretty good. Distance you can see features in the Atlas fog is now based on the distance to the nearest revealed map, making this much more consistent. I don't get that one. You can see features in the Atlas fog of war is now based on the distance to the nearest revealed map, making this much more consistent. So if you cleared near something, you can see more of it. You don't have to frequently check an unknown distance in the fog when searching for citadels. Oh, okay. This makes citadels slightly harder to find. Yeah, okay, cool. Cities on the Atlas. Cities on the Atlas? Does that mean citadels? Citadels on the Atlas now mostly spawn in loose clusters of 3. Yeah, one of each city type per cluster. I think that means you can now get like a cluster of citadels, so you can get one of each of the keystones to go and fight the final boss. I think that's what they're trying to say there. Endgame waystone modifiers that applied cursors to the area now instead periodically cast the respective curse on the ground, targeted areas. That's cool. Disable the of giants modifiers of splitting map now appears in tier 6 plus map. Okay, this is your balance to like leveling maps. That like has tiers and has a value of 10 to 15%. Okay. Rogue Exiles in endgame areas have a much higher chance to spawn with unique items. Cool. I mean, one thing they really need to do is spawn more Rogue Exiles. I can go entire days without seeing a single Rogue Exile. Granted, I'm not spec'd into them, but they seem incredibly rare, so I'd like to see more of them. But I mean, at least if they do spawn, they'll have good stuff now. But yeah, you used to find like maybe one a day and it would have nothing on it. So that's a good change. Maybe not enough, but we'll see. The ritual modifier that spawned Chaos Pustules now spawns at a much lower frequency. Good. The Viridian Wildwood unique map now contains more enemies, more rewarding encounters. Added visual indicators to omens inside the Wildwood map. They can also be seen by darkness. Adjust the frequency of omen inside the Viridian Wildwood. So these are all, I think a lot of people, if you haven't played much this season, you're not even going to have seen these unique maps. So I won't go into it too much. But yeah, there's like unique maps for rituals. There's unique maps for like stacking bosses. There's also really cool stuff, and they're just trying to tweak them a little bit. Twisted Domain now drops significantly more catalysts on average. Big W. I mean, if you're trying to buy like a Reaver's catalyst, it's so rare and it's like so overpriced compared to how it should be. So that's good. Breach rings drop from classed hand in the Twisted Domain is now always rare. Breach rings from clasped hands in the Twisted Domain are now always rare. That's bad. That's not a nice change. So when you do a Twisted Domain, that's the when you use a Breach Zone and you go there and you go to fight the boss. When you work your way through right before the boss, you have this big pop of loot and you get your breach rings. I mean, when they're normal, you can then, you know, start using essences to tweak them into the kind of rings you want. If they're rare, you kind of lose that. So, we'll see. I don't think that's great. Monsters in the Twisted Domain are now more rewarding. Okay, I mean, that's on the flip side. Load the number of It That Watches monsters, increase rare and magic packs in the Twisted Domain. Okay, so they're just buffing the drops in there. The base radius of logbooks increased. That's good. Additional logbook content such as hidden caves are now guaranteed. The frigid buffs. Okay, this is just a big buff to Expedition all the way down here. Okay, I've read through it all, and in summary, logbooks are just better. Better monsters, better rares, more drops. The ones that were, each logbook has a specific area, and those areas are now more prominent and more rewarding. For example, there is the Barren Atoll, which can spawn chests, and they have like much more gold in them than before. Ones that had monsters now have more monsters. Ones that had rares now have more rares. Things like that. Generally, logbooks better. I mean, I think this season, with how things have been, this is probably one of the, as a guess, this would be one of the least played endgame activities, just because I don't think it's as rewarding as everything else has been. So very good. I think you can't really justify what these are when you just read drops more, significantly more, has more. You can't really tell if that's a good change without playing it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play it and I'll let you know if these are good changes. But I mean, they all look like they go up. They all look like, you know, buffs. So we'll see. Okay, next we have a section on uniques. So they've added 9 new unique items, which I've got open here, which we can look through together. And then they've balanced lots of uniques already in the game. Now, I've read through this in advance because it's kind of tedious. If you haven't played with these uniques before, it won't be interesting. This has gone up by 10. This is down by 4. It's not fun to read through. So I've read through it. The highlights that I can see, that I know the items well enough to know, Headhunter has had a massive buff up from 20 seconds to 60 seconds. So you can now defeat an enemy and steal its modifiers for 60 seconds. This feels like a massive buff and it affects the item if you already have it. So this looks like a big W. The Mjolnir unique one-handed mace now has 150% more damage, 4 levels to lightning skills instead of 1, and it has a new ability called Thunder God's Wrath, which triggered spells cost no mana and grant them a level-dependent amount of damage up to 200%. That feels disgusting, and I really want to try that. That sounds like it could make some very fun builds. This one down here, Prison Guardian, this is a shield. Grants 1 spirit per 25 max life, previously 1 per 50. Now, if you're making a witch build, a minion build, this is amazing. I mean, there are witch builds which scale with the more life you have, so it's incredible. You know, you're already stacking life, and then you now have this, which is double buffed. It's huge. This feels like it's going to be very, very, very good. I have a minion build. I'm going to try this. That sounds incredible. Okay, now onto miscellaneous changes. So defeating Barbarian normal difficulty in Traitor's Passage will drop a quest version of the buy if you don't currently have the quest item. You haven't already gotten your ascendancy points from using it. Okay. Optimize the physics. Okay, this is not exciting stuff. There's nothing really here. Affliction in Trial of Sekhmet that causes you to have no energy shield instead applies 50% less energy shield. This is good. This is good. Yeah, if you were a build that stacked energy shield and you got this, it was game over, run over. Now it's just harder. I like that. Very good. Increased trigger radius of clasped hands in the breach encounter. Huge. Breaches are just getting better and better and better. You know, now all of our splinters drop at the end. Now we get this. Good change. I like it. Huge. Quest rewards can now be quick moved on gamepad. Cool. Shrines are now much more reliably interacted with using the gamepad. Lots of good buffs for controller players. New gem tag barrageable to indicate skills that can be made to repeat to clarify which skills barrage. Okay. Tab has now stashed for new sockets. Okay, and then some bug fixes, which cool. Okay, so generally good stuff. So let's go through the new uniques, which we have here. So these are the 9 new uniques. Okay, so let's go through these. And you know, I don't play every single build. I'm not a wizard. So if there is something I miss here, I don't see some connection, do let me know. I'm very curious what's really strong here. So I'll just keep them at the top here. So Constricting Command, max life, attributes, regen, pin enemies which are primed for pinning. So, you know, when they've got like the build up, they'll be pinned faster, which is cool. Maybe that works well with something, not sure. Mind of the Council, mask, max mana, increased evasion, lightning resistance, attacks cost an additional mana. Attacks have added max lightning damage equal to 9% of max mana. Very interesting. Very interesting. I think the most interesting things are when things fall on non-damage items. Like if you have gloves are already a damaging spot. Like you can stack a lot of damage on your gloves, on your rings, on your weapon. Something like a mask, which has things like damage, is very exciting. So that's pretty cool. The Lion's Eye Glare, increased damage, accuracy, attack speed, 2 meters to dodge roll distance if you haven't dodge rolled recently, -1 dodge roll distance if you've dodge rolled recently. So it benefits you if you roll less. Barrage attacks with this bow repeat +1 time if no enemies are in your presence. So this is for staying at max range. So if you get doubled attacks if you are at max range. Presence is like close to you, right? That's the rule. Yeah, area around your character by default is 4 meters. So this is just like a long range bow. Could be good. Just like screen clearing. Okay, then we have the Toxic Quiver Merc Shaft. So chance to poison on hit, adds physical damage to attacks, increased poison duration, chance to poison, and blinds targets when you poison. So you can double dip on, you know, anything blinded, things like that. And then it has a special ability, the Bursting Fentoad. 25% chance to trigger this when you defeat an enemy. Toad radius is 2.5 meters. 256 base damage, poison on hit, additional effect, higher chance to trigger. So you get up to 35% chance to trigger. I mean, we don't really have any really good poison builds like meta, because Lightning Spear is so dominant that I'm not seeing many poison builds that are like really, really, really fun and cool. And I don't know. I personally haven't seen many. This hopefully will make one. Hard to tell without playing it and seeing it, but it's very interesting. Last Lament, I actually did a video about this. If you haven't seen it already, this is basically, you have it like an auto fire. You have an auto firing crossbow that consumes life. So as long as you have life, you will not consume the bolt when firing. So you drain your life to churn out more attacks. So kind of interesting. And then you have a special ability, Requiem. You accumulate anguish from tormented souls when fully charged. Use this to compose the Requiem, transforming your shot into a torrent of anguish for a short fixed amount of time. Does not use ammunition. Very, 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 very cool. This is very exciting. I think this just sounds so fun. Yeah, really want to try this. I'm really curious what this is like. Okay, now we got the Whispering Ice, Permafrost Staff. So it gives Heart of Ice. Chills enemies in your presence as though dealing cold damage. Sick. Pretty cool. And then Ice Storm. Cold damage from hits does not contribute to chill magnitude, cannot freeze. Improves 1 bolt per chill consumed. Okay, so you chill everything around you, and then you improve the bolts, and you rain down ice. Cold damage from hits, cannot freeze, impact radius. Yeah, so you freeze everything, you chill everything around you, and then when stuff is chilled, it uses it and brings down bolts. Very exciting. I mean, +4 level of cold spells, reduce cast speed, intelligence, increase spell damage per 10 in, massive, especially with like what's it called, like Archmage, stuff like that, Archmage builds. Inflict cold exposure on hit, lowering cold resistance by up to 30%. That is exciting. Kataro's Gambit. Let's scroll down. Each arrow fired is a crescendo, splinter, reversing, diamond, covetous, or blunt arrow. Or, okay, or. Crescendo, chains and deals increased damage for each enemy chained. Splinters, I guess it splits 6 targets. Reversing, it pierces and comes back to you. Diamond, all arrows hit are critical and increase crit damage bonus. Exciting. Covetous, enemies defeated with covetous arrows drop with 600% increased rarity. Hold on, what? What? Or blunt, 600% stun. Okay, this is huge. I'm waiting to see the. I farmed 50 divines an hour with covetous arrows. I'm waiting to see this. The best way to get the most out of this is to speed farm as many mobs as possible, run as much rarity as possible, and then just throw out as many arrows as you can so that you're always getting as many of these as possible. 600% is insane. 600% is wild. So I really hope we see some busted stuff with this. You're going to have to work your whole build around it, but if it works, exciting. Okay, now we've got Adonia's Ego, Siphoning Wand. So we have Power Siphon, and then we have Pinnacle of Power. So yeah, that's the Culling Strike. Pinnacle of Power. Consume all power charges to master the elements, gaining elemental damage and the ability to apply ailments with other damage types. It can only be used where you have max power charges. Buff duration is 5 seconds per power charge consumed. 8% more elemental damage per power charge consumed. Buff causes all M damage conjure ignite buildup and magnitude, shock chance, and freeze buildup. +3 to spell skills, mana, cast speed. Elemental resistances. Oh, minus. Okay. It was seeming too strong. It was seeming too strong. Minus 10% to all elemental resistances per power charge. If that's our elemental resistances, as it reads, that's painful. And -1 to max power charges. Okay. Okay. It was seeming, it was seeming a little too powerful. It was seeming a little too wacky. So yeah. Okay. There we go. It's been grounding there. This one I cannot scroll down because my face is covering it. So I'll just open it in a new window. Okay, Palm of the Dreamer. So, grants Impurity. So Impurity is emit an aura that boosts the chaos resistance of you and your allies. Allies in your presence deal additional chaos damage, increased attributes, reduce light radius, reduce skill effect duration, gain damage as extra chaos damage. I mean, so far, none of that really. I mean, potentially that's wrong, but I feel like a normal scepter would be better in most cases. Yeah, I feel like a normal scepter would be better. And then we have the Dreaming Gloom Shrine. Slain enemies. Okay, yeah. Slain enemies pop, dealing chaos damage equal to a quarter of their max life. Okay. Okay, there's your juice. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. This makes me want to try a lot of builds. I think that's very exciting. I think that's what we need with mid-season patches, like mid-league patches, stuff that make you want to try different things. They could have made some very like mid, dry changes here, but a lot of these are very unique. So I think that's good. I think that's pretty exciting. I'm curious what you guys think. Is there something you see here and you go, boom, that in a Totem Warrior build is going to be amazing. That in a, Fire Sorcerer build is going to be... Let me know if there's something you're seeing here that you're really, or maybe you're already trying it. Let me know. Okay, now in game, we can actually look at the, all the new Socketables. So if we go on the exchange, we got Omens, Runes, and Talismans. So let's start with the Runes. So these are already in the game. These 4 are already in the game. I'm not sure about the rest. Maybe these purple ones are all new. There's a lot. Okay, this lines up with about how many they said. So we've got increased attack damage against rare or uniques. Cool. Adds fire damage, cold damage, lightning damage, chaos damage. Okay, fine. 25% chance for spell skills to fire 2 additional projectiles. That's nice. +1 level to spell skills in a staff. Okay. 6% damage is extra damage of all elements. Very exciting for like, an elemental monk kind of build. 10% of damage is taken from mana before life. Is interesting. Increased energy shield recharge rate is massive. I like that a lot. That's very, very, very nice. Gracian's rune, reduced curse effect on you is fine. Bow attacks fire an additional arrow is amazing. What I'm going to do is when I find something like that, I'm going to look at the price. So no Chaos Orb trade, no Exalted Orb trade. 39 divines for one of those. Okay, these are new though, so bear that in mind. They are new. That could be why they're so overpriced. Increased exposure effect, cool. Increased experience gain, cool. Increased physical damage on gloves. Oh, a socket on gloves for increased physical damage. That's exciting. Okay. Increased magnitude of non-damaging attacks. Increased cast speed is nice. Effective withered is lovely for the chaos witch out there. Reduced movement speed penalty from using skills while moving. Pretty good. Increased movement speed on boots is disgusting. This is probably the best rune on here in terms of like every single build would want that. There is no world where you don't, if you had it, there is no world where you don't use it. A lot of these are like situational, depending on your build, blah, blah, blah. This is a always slot, 60 divines. Yeah. Get some boots, double socket them, corrupt them for double socket. Bang. 10 movement speed. No brainer. Yes. Everybody wants that. Omens. They haven't had any omens. Soul cores. Okay. Lots of soul cores. 30% faster energy shield recharge. Cool. Armor applies to cold damage taken from hits. Lightning damage taken from hits. Fire damage taken from hits. Interesting. 50% when you gain a frenzy charge to gain an additional frenzy charge. I mean, that's massive considering like one of the meta builds right now is Lightning Spear, Deadeye. How much is that going for? Only 3. Maybe I'm misreading it. Maybe I don't play Deadeye. Maybe I'm misjudging that, but that sounds really good. The same for endurance charge, the same for power charges. Okay. 40% increased damage with command skills on minions. So that's the minion skills that you actively use. So it wouldn't be like the general damage of the minion, just when you tell it to do something like cast an ability. Adds chaos damage. Cool. Increased projectile speed. Curses have minus curse resistance. Nice. Chaos resistance. Nice. Increase skill effect duration and increase cooldown recovery rate. That's pretty good. Worthless? Maybe not. 4 max rage. Increase curse duration and poison duration on boots. It's very important to look where these can go. Knowing they can go on boots is good because there's certain things where certain things go and certain things can't go. So very interesting. Obviously, movement speed would trump that, I think, in most cases, but still cool. Boots have increased speed of recap effects. Helmets damages recap's life. I mean, these are pretty interesting. Nothing's screaming out to me as like, wow, compared to the runes. And then Talisman, it will be these... I think it's everything after Rabbit is new. So we've got 25% reduced poison duration. Targets to be affected by +1 of your poison. That's pretty cool, considering like we've got the frog bow that's coming as well. Or the frog quiver. +1 charm slot. Reduced cost of skills. Very nice. Enemies you curse increase damage. Very nice. Minions have reduced reservation. On a helmet? Hold on. Hold the phone. Hold the phone here. How much are they going for? 9 divines. I mean, that feels really, really nice. Minion stacking. I mean, there's a lot of good things coming out of minions that makes me really curious. I like that. 8% increased attack speed. Sick. Skills which empower an attack have 15% chance to not count as an attack. So is that like if your next skill is empowered, you will attack, stop. You will attack, not use it, and then attack again, and you'll get like a double empowerment on like each attack, or like you both will be empowered. That's pretty cool. I mean, look, my view on Socketables is that they're not doing what I think they need to do with them. In that they're filling gaps in things that don't feel good. So when you replace your gear, you know, if you're putting in like fire resistance and then you replace that gear, then you've got like lopsided fire resistance, and you get boots, but they have fire resistance on, and then you've got too much. Things like that don't feel good. And I think moving into things like this, where it's like, you know, specific things like that, like reduce reservation, you slot it every time. I feel like that is better. Like chase socketables that go in every slot. I think that's good. I think that's a good way to do that, rather than like, you know, having to pad your build around weird socketables. So yeah, I think that's a good change. Overall, this has been way longer than I expected. I've yapped on a lot because it's just a lot of stuff to talk about, which is rare. You know, we haven't had a big patch like this for a while, so that's good. The patch itself is okay. It's good. I'd say if you've moved on from the game and you're done for the season, you ain't coming back for this. The most people won't be. You know, this isn't. Looking at it, there's not really much content. There's changes, small changes, but generally there's no content here. It's some, you know, additional things to try on your builds. If you already have a really good like minion build, you can try a new item. If you already have a really good like sorcerer, there's a new wand you can try, staff you can try, things like that, which is cool. And if you're on the grind to like make as many divines as possible, there's some new ways to do that and like min-max your progression, things like that. But generally, this is just an improvement to the game as a whole. You know, if we look at where Dawn of the Hunt was on release, terrible. Everyone quit. It was a terrible release. Everyone quit. Let's be real. To where it is now, which I would say it's significantly better. It is a vastly improved game to where it was on release. So hats off to GGG for, you know, bringing it up to where it is now. It just keeps getting better and better. And I think the best thing about this patch is it is creating a stronger base for the next league. Is everything in Dawn of the Hunt great? No. Do Asmiri Spirits still suck? Yes. Does a lot of the seasonal content in Dawn of the Hunt actually not add much to the game? Yes. But is the game better than it was last league? I would say now it is. Before, like the last few months, I would genuinely say I preferred the game before Dawn of the Hunt. Now, with all of the changes we're seeing, like the breach, the new socketables, the changes to like endgame activities, the tweaks they're making to certain uniques and builds, I think the game is now back in a really, really good spot. Should you come back for it? No, wait for the next league. But this is good. A lot of rambling, but I really want to know what you guys think. I've been playing extremely casually for the last probably 3 weeks. I've definitely kind of done everything I want and started to like move on a little bit and just play some other stuff. And I just keep coming back and checking the patches out. I will play this for a little bit and try out some of the new stuff. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think. Are you still like heavy playing? Does this make you want to try it? Maybe you're like, PoE too bad, I'm going to play PoE 1. Let me know. But yeah, that's everything coming in the first big mid-league patch. Yeah, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.